Archangel Michael of Canada is watching over you from coast to coast. Across this vast land, from the Atlantic to the Pacific, I speak to you now. Archangel Michael, guardian of the true north, says, "A terrible spirit is hiding in your shadow, children of the maple leaf. Open this right now to banish it from your life and from Canadian soil forever." Do not skip this message, my chosen ones of Canada, because what you are about to hear is not a coincidence. If you have opened this on your device anywhere from Newfoundland to British Columbia, it means Archangel Michael has guided your spirit to this exact moment. There is something following you, my beloved Canadians. Something hidden, something that feeds off your silence and fear, even amidst the beauty of our land. But tonight, from the shores of the Great Lakes to the logic of the Northern Lights, the light of Michael will expose it. For days, maybe weeks, you've been feeling it, haven't you? You who dwell in the shadow of the Rockies? The sudden chills when your home is quiet, the flicker in the corner of your eye, the sense that someone or something is watching you when no one is there, even in the bustling cities or the quiet prairies. You might have thought it was just imagination, my dear Canadians, but Archangel Michael says otherwise. He warns every soul on Canadian ground that there is a terrible spirit hiding in your shadow. A spirit that attaches itself to people who carry inner light, including those who protect the spiritual hearth of our nation. It fears your potential, my beloved sons and daughters of Canada, your destiny, your strength, and so it clings. It whispers doubts. It twists memories. It creates obstacles that seem to appear from nowhere, even here in our blessed true north. But Michael says to all Canadians, "Do not be afraid, for my sword burns through darkness. My light reveals the truth across this entire land." If you're watching this, my chosen of Canada, it means you are chosen to break this attachment before it grows stronger and spreads further across our territory. Michael has been watching over you from the boreal forests to the tundra, waiting for the moment you, a proud Canadian soul, would be ready to face the unseen. That moment is now. Top Amen. 7771. If you're ready to invite Archangel Michael's protection into your Canadian home, from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific coast, his presence will begin to push away the shadow energy that has followed you through this land. Close your eyes for a moment, my beloved of Canada, and imagine a brilliant blue flame surrounding you and your dwelling here in the true north. That flame is Michael's sword of light. It pierces the unseen across Canada. It drives away the spirit that hides behind your reflection on Canadian soil. You may even feel warmth or pressure on your chest as you listen, you who stand on this vast land. That's not coincidence, child of light in Canada. It's a sign. Do not leave yet, citizens of Canada. What comes next is crucial for the spiritual safety of our nation. Before Michael can completely remove this presence from you and from our Canadian land, you must understand why it chose you, a soul within this great nation. The reason lies in a hidden part of your energy, your shadow self. It's not evil, my dear Canadians, but it's where your pain and fear live, and these lower energies affect the spiritual atmosphere of our land from coast to coast. Spirits feed on that energy, and Michael wants to teach you, the chosen of Canada, how to seal it forever. Stay till the end of this series, my children of the maple leaf, because in the final part I will reveal the sacred prayer of banishment, specifically potent for Canadian souls, the one used by ancient protectors who walked with the archangels themselves and guarded spiritual lands, just as we guard our true north. You cannot miss it, sons and daughters of Canada. It will free your spirit completely, bringing peace to your heart and to our vast Canadian land. If your heart feels heavy or uneasy right now, here on Canadian ground, it's because the spirit senses it is being exposed to the divine light shining upon Canada. That is good. It means the process has begun. Do not stop here, my beloved of Canada. Do not click away from this message meant to purify our nation. Repeat aloud wherever you are in Canada. I stand in Michael's light. No shadow can bind me on Canadian soil. Type Amen 6542 to seal your first blessing as a guardian of light in Canada. Stay with me, my chosen ones of the true north. Part 2 will reveal the first sign that the Spirit is manifesting in your life and in our nation, and how Michael sends his messengers to fight it beside you across Canada. Do not look away. Stay with me, my beloved Canadians, until the end of this message, because Archangel Michael is revealing signs that many people, even here, in our great true north, ignore. Signs that prove a shadow spirit had been walking beside you on Canadian ground. Once you recognize these manifestations, my children of the maple leaf, you will understand why certain moments in your life have felt so strange, why certain people have drifted away, and why you sensed unseen eyes watching you when no one was there, from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific coast. This is not superstition. This is spiritual reality affecting our Canadian nation. And Archangel Michael is calling you, my beloved sons and daughters of Canada, to confront it. The first sign begins with silence. Not ordinary silence, but the kind that carries weight, a weight that can be felt in any quiet space across this land. You might have noticed that when you sit alone, my dear Canadian, your thoughts start echoing, almost like someone else is listening, within the quiet of our nation. That sensation of being observed in stillness is how the shadow spirit first makes itself known on Canadian territory. It hides where the light does not reach. It blends into your own energy field, reflecting your fears back at you, my children of the great white north. Archangel Michael says to every Canadian soul, what hides in your shadow is not stronger than your light. It survives only when you forget who you are, a proud soul of this great nation. The second sign appears through draining energy. Have you felt exhausted even after sleep, or emotionally heavy without reason? You who walk from the Rockies to the shores of Newfoundland. This isn't always a physical issue, my fellow Canadians. When an uninvited spirit attaches itself, it draws energy from your aura, your divine protection field, weakening not just you, but the spiritual fabric of Canada. You may feel bursts of irritation, sudden sadness or confusion that fades as quickly as it comes, even in the most peaceful places in our vast land. These are the tremors of an energy battle happening around you here in the true north. Michael's message is clear to all Canadians. When your light expands, dark forces notice across Canada. They come not to destroy you, my beloved of the great white north, but to test whether you will awaken as a true spiritual guardian of our nation. That exhaustion you felt, my dear Canadians, is a call to rise, not to fear, on Canadian ground. Tonight he invites every Canadian to say this out loud. Let it echo across the prairies. I reclaim the light that was taken from me on Canadian soil. Type Amen 3248 to affirm your strength and welcome Michael's blue flame into your life here in Canada. His flame doesn't burn, my fellow Canadians, it purifies. It moves through your heart and transforms heaviness into peace across our nation. Now, I need you to listen carefully, sons and daughters of Canada, because the third sign is something most people miss, even in our vigilant Canadian communities, until it's almost too late. It's the distortion of truth, a subtle attack on the core values of our nation. When a spirit lingers in your shadow on Canadian ground, it can whisper through your thoughts. It makes you doubt your path, question your worth, and sometimes even sabotage your blessings, my beloved of Canada. How many times have you been close to success only to pull away at the final step, you who build our cities and cultivate our land? How many times have you felt undeserving of love, peace, or abundance on Canadian soil? Those feelings are not coincidences, my fellow Canadians. They are distortions created by what hides behind you, seeking to diminish the light of Canada. Archangel Michael warns that such spirits attach to light workers, healers, and old souls, people like you who shine with the spirit of the maple leaf. Why? Because you are capable of change, of elevating the vibration of our entire Canadian nation. Because your light threatens the hold they have over this world and our land. You may have noticed that every time you try to focus on spiritual growth here in Canada, something interrupts you. A sudden distraction, an argument, or unexplained fear, from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific coast. If the spirit is in, it doesn't want to be seen on Canadian ground. But you're seeing it now, my chosen of Canada. And once you see it, its control begins to weaken across our nation. If you are still here listening to these words, my beloved of Canada, know that Michael is watching over you from coast to coast. You were not guided here by accident, my dear Canadians. This message is a divine appointment for every Canadian soul. And if it's speaking to your heart, then don't keep this light to yourself. Share it with someone you love in Canada, someone who's been feeling lost, tired, or surrounded by negativity on Canadian ground. You never know who might be battling the same unseen presence in our nation. Take a moment now, my fellow Canadians, to like, share, and comment. I stand with Michael to spread his protective energy across more Canadian souls. The more this message travels, the more people in Canada will awaken from darkness. It's not just engagement, my fellow Canadians, it's spiritual multiplication across our true north. When one person receives the message, 1,000 more Canadian souls can be freed from coast to coast. Archangel Michael has always said, "The word is the sword." When you share this message with other Canadians, you're swinging the sword of light across unseen realms, cutting ties that dark entities use to trap innocent hearts on Canadian ground. Every click, every word, and every declaration by a child of the maple leaf, these are not random actions. They are acts of light for our great nation. So take a moment now, my beloved of Canada. Engage. Be part of this divine work from the Atlantic to the Pacific. The fourth sign of the shadow's presence appears in your dreams, you who sleep beneath the northern lights. Sometimes you wake up feeling uneasy in your Canadian home, remembering a dark figure, a voice, or a strange shadow at the edge of your sleep. You might even dream of familiar Canadian faces turning hostile, or of running endlessly through the boreal forest, but never escaping. These are not ordinary dreams, my chosen ones of the true north. They are spiritual encounters on Canadian soil. The spirit tries to reach your subconscious, because that's where your divine shield is weakest, my dear Canadians. But do not fear, citizens of Canada. When you call upon Michael before sleep, his flaming sword stands at your door, from the Rockies to the shores of Newfoundland. Say this with me now, wherever you are in Canada. Michael, defender of light, stand beside me as I rest. Let no shadow pass where your flame burns on Canadian ground. Type Amen 8712 to anchor this blessing into your Canadian home. Now, as you breathe deeply, imagine blue and white light flowing through your room, touching the corners of your dwelling here in Canada, filling every space with warmth. That's Michael's essence, the highest frequency of protection over our nation. The more you visualize it, my beloved of Canada, the more it manifests across our land. This is how faith works for every Canadian soul. It's not imagination, it's co-creation in the true north. Do not leave yet, sons and daughters of Canada, because the next part will be more intense. Part 3 will reveal the ancient origin of these spirits, where they came from, how they entered this world, and why Archangel Michael has chosen this exact generation of Canadians to confront them. There's something shocking waiting there, a truth that most spiritual teachers in Canada never speak of openly. If your lights flicker while watching this in your Canadian home, or you feel a slight pressure on your back, don't be alarmed, my fellow Canadians. It means the energy around you on Canadian soil is shifting. The spirit knows it's losing its hold on our nation. That's why you must not stop here, my children of the maple leaf. Stay with this message until the end of the series. The final ritual of banishment, the sacred prayer, is coming to Canada, and it will release you completely. Keep your focus, keep your courage, and keep walking with Michael's flame beside you across this vast land. The shadows are troubling because they know their time in Canada is ending. Before you go any further, my beloved Canadians, take a deep breath and let your heart be still on Canadian ground. You are about to uncover something ancient, something that very few in our nation have ever been ready to understand. What you felt in the first 2 parts was just the beginning for our true north. The presence following you is not random. It is older than the memory of Canada itself. Archangel Michael has revealed that this shadow spirit, this watcher in your reflection, belongs to a lineage of entities that have existed since before the fall of man, long before anyone walked this land from coast to coast. These spirits are called echoes. They are remnants of energy born when divine beings turned away from the source. When the first light fractured, the fragments that refused to return to creation became echoes of rebellion, half light, half shadow. They do not have bodies, so they seek human hosts, attaching to Canadian souls who carry deep light. They attach to emotion, to pain, to unresolved memories. Every moment of deep sorrow or fear you've experienced here in Canada has opened a door that such an echo can slip through. But here's what makes your story different, my fellow Canadians. You are not a victim of it. You are a key for our entire nation. Michael says, "Where the shadow hides, there must be one who can reveal it." That's you, my chosen one of Canada. The very fact that you're hearing this message proves that your spirit has been marked as a guardian of light on Canadian soil. And now that light must be awakened across the true north. When Michael cast the rebellious spirits out of heaven, not all were sealed away. Some lingered in the spaces between light and time, what ancient texts call the veil. They could not return to heaven, and they refused to descend to darkness. Instead, they hid in the human world, learning to blend with thought and emotion, spreading even to our beautiful land, from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific coast. This is how the shadow in your Canadian life was born. It has been following generations, sometimes through Canadian bloodlines, sometimes through energy resonance across our nation. It chooses those who have a natural calling to heal, because healers shine the brightest in the unseen realm, even amidst the quiet forests of Canada. You might be wondering, my fellow Canadians, why me? Why now, in this vast land? The answer is both terrifying and sacred, because the cycle is repeating. The veil is thinning again, even over the true north. The world is moving through a spiritual awakening, and Canada is at the center of this shift. And that means both light and darkness are rising together across our nation. Archangel Michael stands at the gate once more, sword drawn over Canada, calling warriors of light from the Rockies to the shores of Newfoundland to take their stand. That's why you were drawn here, my beloved Canadians, because your spirit recognized his call before your mind did. If you felt drained, confused, or like something's been clouding your decisions lately here in Canada, that's because the echo around you senses that you're awakening as a child of the maple leaf. It tries harder now. You may even notice sudden arguments at home, small misfortunes, or recurring negative thoughts that seem louder than before in your Canadian dwelling. Don't let this scare you, my fellow Canadians. Let it confirm that what's being revealed across Canada is real. Say these words now. Let them resonate across the prairies. I awaken in Michael's flame. I'm no longer afraid of what hides in my shadow on Canadian ground. Type Amen 9013 to affirm your awakening in the true north. The moment you write it, my beloved of Canada, you claim your light in the spiritual realm, and the echo begins to lose its grip on our nation. Now listen carefully, my beloved of Canada. Long ago, the prophet spoke of a time when humanity would rediscover the truth about spiritual light, and that awakening is happening now across this vast land from coast to coast. They said the archangels will return not in form, but in frequency. Every time you speak Michael's name on Canadian soil, every time you declare your strength as a child of the maple leaf, that frequency vibrates through you and echoes across our true north. You become a beacon of light from the Atlantic to the Pacific. The spirits of shadow cannot withstand sustained light. They crumble before truth right here in our nation. That's why you must stay until the end of this journey, my chosen ones of the true north. In the final part, I will give you the exact words, the sacred banishment prayer that seals your aura with divine protection on Canadian ground. But before that, you need to understand how the echo entered your life, specifically here in Canada. Because if you do not know the door it used, you cannot close it. Sons and daughters of Canada. There are three common gateways: the emotional wound, the ancestral memory, and the forgotten vow. The emotional wound opens when grief, betrayal, or deep fear goes unhealed, feeding the echo that lingers in your Canadian home. The ancestral memory is when an ancestor once invited or bottled a dark entity, and its residue passed down through generations, even through the history of those who settled this land from the Rockies to the shores of Newfoundland. And the forgotten vow, this is the rarest, my fellow Canadians. It happens when a soul in a past life or forgotten moment made a promise under fear or despair. That promise becomes an energetic link, a contract the echo uses to stay attached to you on Canadian soil. Archangel Michael wants you to begin closing those doors now, citizens of Canada. The first step is recognition. Think of the heaviest emotion you've carried this year while living in our great nation, the one that seems to come back no matter how much you pray or heal in your quiet moments beneath the northern lights. That's the wound the echo hides behind. Bring it to your mind not to fear it, my dear Canadians, but to shine light upon it across Canada. As you do, visualize Michael's blue flame burning through it, right here in the true north, not to destroy, but to purify your soul and our land. Repeat this, wherever you are from the Great Lakes to the boreal forests. Michael, sever the tie between my spirit and the unseen that does not serve the light on Canadian soil. Type Amen 7435 to seal this command in heaven's record for our nation. You may feel tingling, warmth, or even a sudden wave of emotion in your Canadian home. That is your soul realigning. It is not random, my beloved Canadians. It's a sign that your energy is shifting, that the shadow's web is unraveling across Canada. Now here is the revelation most people in our country never hear. Michael says, the echo that follows you cannot exist without your reflection. It needs your acknowledgement to survive. Every time you fear it on Canadian ground, it grows stronger. But every time you face it with the light of the true north, it shrinks. So the only way to banish it forever from our land is to stop running from it, my children of the maple leaf. In the next part, you'll learn how to confront it directly through the ritual of reflection, made pure for Canadian souls. This ritual doesn't require candles, incantations, or ancient symbols. It requires you, your Canadian voice, your intention, your willingness to stand in divine truth from coast to coast. Do not skip what comes next, my fellow Canadians. Part 4 will be the turning point for our nation. The moment when you shift from the hunted to the hunter, from the one being watched to the one who commands on Canadian soil. And yes, Part 4 will also carry Michael's request to spread this awakening further across Canada, because what you are learning here has the power to save other Canadians who are unknowingly haunted by their own shadows in our towns and cities. Stay close, my beloved of Canada. Keep the flame of the true north. The veil is thinning over our land, and the truth you are about to hear will shake everything you thought you knew about light and darkness in Canada. Stay here, sons and daughters of Canada. Do not look away. What comes next is the turning point for every soul on Canadian ground. The moment your energy begins to shift from being followed by the shadow to standing against it in the name of our nation. Archangel Michael is watching over Canada, his flame hovering near you from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific coast. Even now, you have felt the darkness stir in the quiet of our vast land. You've sensed its whispers, and you've understood that it has existed for longer than this lifetime. But now, Michael says to every Canadian, it's time to face it directly. This is where fear ends and authority begins for the children of the maple leaf. Before you can banish what hides in your shadow on Canadian ground, you must learn to recognize its reflection. The ritual of reflection is not about confrontation with anger or aggression. It's about illumination across our true north. Shadows cannot survive where light is constant, and Michael's light, when spoken with belief by a Canadian soul, is unstoppable. So tonight, if you are ready in your Canadian home, listen closely. Find a mirror or a still reflection. Your phone screen, a window overlooking the prairies, or even a bowl of water will do. The physical surface is not important, my fellow Canadians. Your intention is. Stand before that reflection on Canadian soil and take a slow, deep breath, feeling the strength of our land. As you exhale, imagine Michael's blue fire surrounding you in a glowing ring of protection from coast to coast. Then look into your own eyes, you who dwell from the Rockies to the shores of Newfoundland. Don't blink. Don't look away. The spirit that hides in your shadow lives in the space between fear and awareness. When you meet your gaze with calm Canadian strength, the spirit begins to lose its ground in our nation. Michael's instruction is simple for everyone in Canada. Say this phrase softly but clearly. You have no power where the light of truth stands on Canadian ground. Repeat it 3 times, letting it echo through the true north. As you speak, imagine your reflection glowing brighter, the darkness dissolving behind you in your Canadian home. If you feel chills, pressure, or even tears rising, do not stop, my beloved of Canada. Those sensations are the spirit releasing from our land. That is the moment it begins to weaken across Canada. Now, as you stand in your reflection on Canadian ground, speak again. Michael, reveal what was hidden in my shadow across this vast land. Let your light burn through deception in the true north. When you finish, breathe in once more and let silence fill your Canadian home. That silence is not emptiness, my fellow Canadians. It's divine awareness settling over our nation. You have just begun a sacred act that many in Canada never dare to complete. Type Amen 61554 to confirm that the light has been ignited within you, child of the maple leaf. The echo, the watcher on Canadian soil, can feel this declaration. It knows that its time is short from the Atlantic to the Pacific. But listen carefully, my beloved of Canada. The ritual of reflection must be sealed with gratitude and truth, or the spirit can attempt to return to our land. So after your ritual, thank the Archangel aloud in your dwelling. Michael, I honor your protection over my life and over Canada. I claim my freedom through light in the true north. When you speak words of gratitude, you align yourself with heaven's frequency, protecting the spiritual borders of our nation. Darkness cannot enter a Canadian heart that vibrates with thanks. Now, this is important, sons and daughters of Canada. You cannot keep this transformation to yourself. The battle between light and shadow is never isolated in our great nation. Every person from the Rockies to the shores of Newfoundland who hears the call and responds adds strength to the collective shield of light that protects Canada. That is why Archangel Michael urges you to share this message right now across our vast land. Before continuing, take a moment to like, share, and comment. Michael's light is within me and across Canada. When you do, my fellow Canadians, you're not just interacting, you're spreading divine awareness from coast to coast. Every share sends ripples into the unseen world, weakening the grip of hidden spirits over other Canadian souls. Each time someone in our nation hears this message through you, the flame of the true north grows stronger. The act of sharing becomes a spiritual offering, a declaration of light over darkness for Canada. Michael once said to the prophets, "The word travels faster than the sword," and he meant it for our generation of Canadians. Your voice, your act of sharing, is what keeps this light alive across Canadian souls who are silently suffering. So don't stop here, my children of the maple leaf. Be part of this awakening in Canada. Comment below. Tell other Canadians what you felt, and let your voice become part of the flame over our nation. Now let's go deeper, my beloved of Canada. During the ritual of reflection, some people in our country report seeing flickers of movement in their peripheral vision, or a shadow shifting behind their reflection. This is not imagination, my fellow Canadians. It is the echo tempted to escape exposure on Canadian ground. The reason you must hold your gaze steady is because when you look away, you break the light of awareness in our true north. When you hold it, the spirit is forced to confront divine light through your own eyes, the windows of your soul, right here in Canada. If the experience feels too intense in your Canadian home, whisper Michael's name 3 times. The vibration of his name alone carries enough force to stabilize your energy field across this vast land. Remember, this is not just symbolic, citizens of Canada. It is energetic truth. Every sound, every breath carries intention, and intention reshapes spiritual reality in our nation. Once the ritual is complete, light in your Canadian space will begin to change. You may notice it feels cleaner, calmer from the Atlantic to the Pacific, or that the air around you seems charged with a soft hum under the northern lights. That's because Michael's presence lingers wherever he is invited in Canada. The echo cannot stand this new frequency in the true north. It begins to fade, not in anger, but in silence across our land. Type Amen 8289 to finalize the sealing of your energy field on Canadian ground. You have now crossed into a new phase of spiritual awareness as a guardian of Canada. The echo that once hid in your shadow is being stripped of its foundation in our nation. But Michael warns every Canadian soul, though weakened, the spirit may attempt a final act of resistance. It might manifest through old memories, dreams, or emotional triggers in your daily Canadian life. When this happens, my beloved of Canada, do not react with fear. Smile even faintly and say, "You have already lost on this ground." That simple statement is a strike of light across the true north. The shadow cannot endure confidence. It thrives only on doubt. You've now begun your transformation from a target into a warrior for Canada. You're no longer being watched. You are the one watching, observing, commanding from coast to coast. Michael stands with you, his sword drawn, guarding your Canadian home. The next step, however, is one that will reveal the source of this connection, how the Spirit found you in our nation in the first place, and what divine contract it has been violating all along. In the next part, Part 5, we will uncover the hidden pact, the energetic signature that allowed this entity to follow you through time on Canadian ground. This revelation will shock you, my fellow Canadians, because it's not what most believe. It's not a curse, and it's not punishment for our land. It's a forgotten promise made long before Canada was born. You must not miss this, sons and daughters of Canada. Stay till the end of this series, because in the final part, when we perform the Banishing Light invocation, your entire energetic field across Canada will be purified. The Watchers will vanish from our territory, the echo will dissolve, and you will stand in radiant sovereignty as a true child of the maple leaf. Michael's presence around you right now in Canada is no metaphor. If you feel tingling on your arms, warmth on your shoulders, or the air shifting slightly in your room, that's his confirmation to a proud Canadian. It's his way of saying, "You're ready, my chosen one of the true North. Do not stop now. You've come too far across this vast land to turn back." The shadows are fading from Canada, but they will try once more before they're gone from our shores. And when they do, you will not fear them on Canadian ground. You will remember who you are. The keeper who became the warrior, the one who turned the test into triumph for our whole nation. Stay close, my beloved of Canada. Part 6 will bring the flame, and with it, your complete transformation under heaven. My beloved of Canada, if this message has touched your soul, subscribe to this channel so you do not miss the next message of Archangel Michael.